Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome back to another Sims 4 speed building video. So in today's video, as you can probably tell from the title, I'm going to attempt to make a real life house, or kind of like a real life house, in The Sims. I'm basically trying to copy a picture of Pinterest which I saw, which I absolutely love, and I just fell in love with it and I really wanted to build it. I will put a picture of the actual house on the screen now so you can kind of see what it looks like. But I saw this picture and I just thought that it would fit in so perfectly with either Oasis Springs or Selvadorada. And I've actually been wanting to do a Selvadorada build because I don't think I've ever actually done one on my channel. I know that I've definitely attempted to do Selvadorada builds in the past, but I just never really seem to love the way they turn out in the end, and I just never end up sharing them because if I don't absolutely love something, I'm not going to share it. If I'm not happy with it myself, I'm not going to share it, and so there won't be any Selvadorada builds on my channel until now. So I absolutely fell in love with this house. It is this really cute little cottage, and one of the things that made me think I could definitely build this in The Sims was there was this kind of little curved roof piece at the top of the build, and we literally have it in The Sims. You can kind of see that I've actually already placed it, but when it got to the end, I just felt like the roof, where it was cutting in so much into the actual, so the roof trim was cutting into this kind of little roof decor object, and I tried playing around with it for so long and I just couldn't get it so it would look perfect. And if I did move objects it up, it would have this really weird shadow on it. So in the end, I do actually end up deleting that from the build, but I still feel like it really does look like the actual house that I used from the reference picture. So this is obviously built in Selvadorada. This is built on, I believe it's the 20 by 15 lot. I believe this is the one which is really close to the market. So your sim who could be staying here could literally just walk down the road and the marketplace would just be down the road. I believe it is that lot anyway. But I really wanted to kind of start making a progress on my save file because I am making a save file. I've spoken about it in a lot of my videos, but I just haven't done any builds in either of the Vacation Worlds or Forgotten Hollow yet, and I just really need to start getting a move on because I've got a lot of Willow Creek builds and Brinton Bay builds, but I just have none for Selvadorada, and I believe the pack has been out almost a year and a half. I think it's been out for quite a while and I still haven't done any speed builds on it. So I really do need to start kind of making a progress, and I needed to start somewhere, and so I decided to start with this little cottage, and I just think this is so adorable. When I actually moved on and started doing the floor plan for this house, I had this massive rush of inspiration to do like a little Airbnb. So I imagine this could possibly be an Airbnb just in the jungle. So originally I did actually want to make this house into kind of like a normal rental lot which had maybe like 2 or 3 bedrooms, had a couple of beds in each bedroom, and just kind of make it so families could come here. Originally I was thinking about doing like a little back garden, so you can kind of see that I've extended the fence because I was thinking about maybe doing like a little small swimming pool and like a nice little garden for this little kind of house or rental. But when I actually came in and I was doing the floor plan, I kind of realised what small space I had, and obviously where I was using a reference picture, I didn't want to make it look any bigger because I wanted to make it look as much like the reference picture as I could possible, and so I decided to keep it the same kind of size. And then when I was kind of doing the floor plan, I just had this massive inspiration of this could be a little Airbnb, and I thought it would be so cute and so perfect for a little Airbnb in the jungle. So once I got this idea, I started thinking of all the possible Sims that could come here and just stay here on their holidays, and then I got the idea just to create this kind of for a writer. Obviously any kind of Sims could come here, but I was thinking that maybe a writer or someone in the journalism career could come here quite often. Maybe they know the owner and they come here maybe every month, every 2 months, and they are writing a book on the jungle or their temple, and this is just could be where they stay. And I just think that's such a cute little idea. So I do actually have a desk in this build because I was kind of thinking that possibly a writer could stay here quite often, so they'd need a desk. Obviously there is a kind of like a little dining area as well, but I just thought it would be nice to have a little desk so it's still kind of suited for the person or the sim that I had in mind when I was building this. But as you can see, I have moved on and I'm starting doing the furnishing. Now I actually built the structure of the house, and then once I kind of got the idea for a little writer to live here or just to stay here quite often, I immediately just wanted to furnish, and then I actually do end up doing all the landscaping last just because I really wanted to get all of my ideas into the build, just because I was so excited. Once I had the idea in my head, I just couldn't wait to furnish. So I do the landscaping at the very end of the build, just because I was so excited and I just wanted to get in and start furnishing it. Obviously, as you can kind of see, I've just done the floor plan. The floor plan is literally just a little box room upstairs. I decided to cut the footage of that out though, because like I mentioned, when I originally went in and started building this, I was thinking that maybe this would have maybe 2 or 3 bedrooms. And so when I was trying to figure that out, I was moving the camera around so many times. And in the end, the only thing that is upstairs is literally just like a little 3x3 bathroom. So it's nothing too interesting. And you just saw me kind of build the structure for the kind of kitchen, which I absolutely love. I use the Jungle Adventure wallpaper in here, and by the way, I use a lot of Jungle Adventure in this build. Obviously it is built in the Jungle Adventure world, Selvadorada, but I just wanted to implement as much furniture from the pack that I could possible, and I feel like I used the majority of this pack. I don't actually know what other kind of items I use from other packs. As always, the build details will be in the description box down below if you are curious. But talking about the kitchen a little bit, I absolutely love this kitchen. I use the Jungle Adventure fridge, oven and counters, and also the sink, which I never actually tend to use that sink, and it's because I'm not a massive user of these counters. Although I do absolutely love these counters and I've been trying to implement them more into my builds, I just always find that I never actually use the matching sink to go with them. And at the minute you can kind of see that I've just opened up the debug menu and I just pulled out some postcards. So I was thinking that maybe the person that lives here just likes to have a few little memories of home, or if it's the writer, or maybe the writer that comes here actually owns it and he just wants to have a few little memories of home or places that he's been. Like I said, maybe he's writing something on the temple or the jungle, and so maybe he does it in loads of different areas and all different kinds of worlds, and he just kind of leaves a postcard and gets a postcard and just kind of leaves it in his kitchen. I don't know, I just really like that idea. But as you can kind of see, I am just finishing up the kitchen now, and I've really wanted to section the kitchen off, and I never really ever tend to do this, but I absolutely love the way it turned out. I used the cats and dogs beams and then just did some half walls and kind of created this little, like, it's almost a room but it's not. You get the illusion that it's a room, but I didn't want to close the build off because where it is so small, I feel like it will be really small and kind of difficult to move around in. So I felt like that was a really ideal way just to kind of show that this is a separate room but it's not a fully separate room. But moving on to the lounge room, so even though this is probably a rental, or maybe you can have a sim that lives here, I know there is actually a mod where you can live in Selvadorada. I wasn't actually thinking that someone lives here, I was just thinking that a writer always comes here quite often, but I just still wanted there to be a little TV area. I know the majority of the times if you send your Sims to jungle, you're probably going to be out exploring the jungle, doing all different kind of things and not really wanting to stay inside and watch the TV all day, or making your Sims stay inside and watching TV. But I still wanted the option, if you wanted to do that, for there to be a TV. And so I did just do this really small little area just in front of the stairs, which obviously lead upstairs, and there was this little kind of one tile space, and it was really like difficult to figure out what I wanted to put there. In the end, I did just put this bookcase, which we have from base game, in that little area, but I was thinking about kind of blocking it off and just doing another wall. But there's a really weird thing when you try and put a wall next to a staircase, but you don't connect the wall, so the wall won't actually follow on to the end of the staircase. It will just be like that little tile area. The game almost recognizes that it's not actually following on to the rest of the staircase, so there's this little kind of gap, and it is the most annoying thing. And so in the end, I decided just to put that little bookcase in there, which I said from base game. But then as I think about it, maybe this is a writer, obviously he's going to need a bookcase, and there isn't actually another bookcase in this little rental, so maybe it was kind of meant to happen because I didn't actually end up putting any other bookcase anywhere else. But moving on from that, as you can kind of see, I did just do a little dining room area as well. Obviously this house is very small, this rental is very small, but I still wanted there to be a place where your Sims could eat their food. I know that they could eat it on the sofa, but I wanted there to be a table and chairs just in case, or maybe you could have 2 Sims come here on maybe a little romantic getaway and they wanted somewhere to eat dinner or something. I just still wanted there to be a proper table and chairs, and so I just put one in the corner, and I believe I used a base game table as well, which I believe is a table that I don't actually often tend to use. But now moving on to the upstairs of the house, so I wanted to use all the items that we have from Jungle Adventure in the bathroom, but when it actually came to doing it, I realised that we don't actually have a toilet from Jungle Adventure, or we might, but I just couldn't find it in the build and buy menu. We have a shower, bath and sink, we just don't have a matching toilet from what I could find anyway, and so I just decided to pair it with a base game one, which I believe is called the John toilet, and I just used it in the black swatch because I felt like it would match the best because of the furniture on the sink and kind of like the bath as well is quite dark, and so I just thought I'd use it in the black swatch. But now moving on, I'm just doing the little bedroom area. So the whole of the upstairs is basically very open. The only basically or real room in this house is the bathroom. The upstairs is very, very open plan, and so obviously in this room as well I needed to use the Jungle Adventure bed and the matching little bedside tables, and so I just used them in a similar swatch to the sofa downstairs. So the Jungle Adventure pack has so many different colours and they actually do match if you use them all together. If you maybe put them with other different items from different packs, then maybe they won't match, but all of the items match together, and so I wanted to kind of keep the same themes and the same patterns throughout the whole entire build, and so I decided to use the similar bed swatch, the one on the sofa downstairs, and I also just paired it with these two little white tables as well. I also added these little suitcases. It's actually a bedside table, but you can't really tell unless you put anything on top of it. I added these little suitcases at the bottom of the bed, and they have a similar kind of colour palette to the rest of the room, so I just thought that fitted in so well. And as it is a rental, obviously your Sims are travelling to come here, and so I just thought it would be very ideal if there were suitcases somewhere in this house, and so I just added them. But at the minute you can kind of see I'm just doing this little desk area. So obviously I said I wanted a writer to be able to come here, or even any kind of Sim could come here, but I was just kind of thinking a writer would come here quite often, and so there needed to be a desk area where there could be a computer or a laptop and they could write all their books or practice their writing or write all their articles or whatever they want to do. That also does lead out into the little patio area, which is probably my favourite area of the build. I did that one of the first things when I started furnishing. I just absolutely love it, and the hot tub actually looks right onto the jungle and it is such a beautiful view. I cannot wait for you to see the screenshots. But I'm just finishing up this room now and just adding a few little minor touches, adding some curtains and some blinds, and do also just add a little plant right next to the desk as well, because there was just kind of some empty space and I didn't want it to be completely bare. But moving back to the extra of the build, so like I said, I decided that I wanted to do all the furnishing once I got the inspiration. I just wanted to get in and furnish, so obviously once I finished the furnishing I had to do the rest of the exterior. So when I was using this reference picture, I wanted to try and mimic the landscaping in that picture as well as I could, and then I added a few trees and stuff as well where I felt like it was needed. There were some empty spaces here and there, and so I do actually use the Jungle Adventure tree quite a lot in this build. I use them around the back as well. I obviously didn't have a reference picture for the back of the house, but I just felt like it was a little bit of an empty space, and so I decided to add them in. Also, the fence I actually used in this build is actually almost perfect to the one that I was actually looking at in the reference picture, and it's literally like it was meant to be. And now looking at it, I'm thinking I actually might add that little roof sculpture thing back in, the little rounded bit that I put at the top, which I did actually delete. I think I might actually re-add that back in, because looking at the actual picture and then comparing it to this build, I feel like it just completely makes it, and that is one of the main things that made me think I could actually build this in The Sims, because of that little roof texture at the top. So I think I might actually add that back into the build. But now I'm just going around the build and I'm adding these little lights on top of the edge of the fences. So when I was doing this, the fence or the gate that I use, which is the matching to the fence, it has these little lights on the corners of them. But when I was actually going around and adding the lights in, I realised that we don't actually have access to them certain lights in the game, and so I just used some base game ones and kind of make do, and I think that they match quite well. Hopefully you do as well. But anyway, I am actually going to end this voiceover here. As always, you can download this build on the gallery. You can search my origin ID, which is JessicapieYT, or you can search the hashtag Jessicapie or JessicapieYT. But anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this, and as always, if you do like my content, then please subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in my next Sims 4 speedboarding video. Bye guys!